I stood under the brutal Arizona sun, squinting at the empty stretch of highway where our car had been parked barely 10 minutes ago. One moment it was there, dust settling around the tires, and the next it was gone. My wife Maya, along with her friends Renee, Tasha, and Brooke, had vanished. At first I laughed under my breath. Another joke. Another one of their twisted little games. They were always pulling stuff like this, testing me, poking at my limits, waiting to see how much I'd take before I finally lost it. 5 years of marriage had trained me well. I'd learned how to swallow the humiliation, the smirks, the laughter, the way Maya never defended me, how she'd laugh right along with them instead. But this time felt wrong. My phone was still plugged into the car charger. My wallet sat uselessly in the glove compartment. All I had was the faded gray t-shirt clinging to my back, worn-out jeans, and a slow, sick feeling curling in my stomach as the minutes dragged on. We'd been on this road trip to Renee's lakeside cabin for 3 miserable days. 3 days of passive-aggressive comments, inside jokes I wasn't part of, and little accidents that were anything but. Maya had begged me to come, said it would help me bond with her friends. I knew better, but I went anyway, because I loved her, or at least I thought I did. The gas station sat alone in the desert, a dusty blink-and-you-miss-it stop off the highway, one flickering sign, one lonely pump. I'd gone inside to use the bathroom, confident they'd wait. They always waited, except this time they didn't. An hour passed. I paced the cracked asphalt, kicking pebbles, convincing myself any second now I'd hear tires crunch against gravel. Maya's laugh. Someone shouting, "Relax, it was a joke!" Nothing. 2 hours in, sweat soaked through my shirt and my throat burned with thirst. My mind replayed the last few days like a cruel highlight reel. Tasha spilling coffee on my lap and not even pretending to apologize. Brooke whispering something into Maya's ear that made her snort with laughter. Maya avoiding my eyes while I stood there pretending it didn't hurt. I should have seen it coming. They weren't just joking anymore. They were sending a message. A low rumble snapped me out of my thoughts. A pickup truck pulled in beside me, engine growling. The driver, a broad man with a silver beard and oil-stained cap, leaned out the window. "You all right, man?" "Been standing here a while." His voice was rough, but there was concern in it. And that's when it hit me, harder than the heat, harder than the silence. I wasn't all right. They weren't coming back. Maya wasn't coming back. I swallowed, forcing the words out. "Yeah, my ride left me. You think you could help?" He nodded slowly, like he'd seen this exact scene play out before. "Hop in, where you headed?" That was the problem. I didn't know. Back home, back to Maya, back to a life where I was the joke? As I climbed into the truck, something inside me shifted. 5 years of disrespect, 5 years of being minimized, 5 years of letting love excuse cruelty. It all came crashing down at once. The gas station shrank in the side mirror as we drove off. The driver didn't pry, just hummed along to an old country tune on the radio. My hands curled into fists on my lap. I could have asked for his phone, could have called Maya, demanded an explanation, but I already knew what she'd say. "You're overreacting. It was just a joke. Why are you always so sensitive?" Standing there alone, abandoned like something disposable, I finally understood the truth. Her friends didn't respect me, and Maya never had. She'd chosen them again and again. The driver dropped me off at a lonely crossroads, pointing toward the nearest town. "That way leads to Red Rock," he said. "Good luck, man." I thanked him and started walking. No phone, no money, no plan. Just the open road stretching endlessly ahead. Part of me wanted to turn back, beg someone at the gas station to call her, to smooth things over, to fix it like I always did. But another part of me, a stronger, louder part, kept moving forward. I was done being the punchline, done being the easy target, done shrinking myself to keep the peace. Maya and her friends probably thought they'd won, thought they'd broken me. But as the sun dipped lower and the town came into view, a strange calm settled over me. They hadn't broken me. They'd finally let me go. Their next move didn't matter anymore. Yeah, I was alone, but I wasn't helpless. The road stretched out ahead of me, endless and empty, and I kept walking. They'd left me behind, sure, but maybe that was the best thing they could have done. Maybe this was my chance to figure out who I was without her, without them. By the time the sun started to dip low, bleeding orange across the sky, I'd made up my mind. I wasn't going back. Not to Maya. Not to that life. Whatever came next, it was mine to build. I stood at the dusty crossroads where the trucker had dropped me off, the Colorado wind kicking up small spirals of dirt around my feet. Grand Junction was somewhere ahead, but I didn't have a map, a phone, or a single dollar to my name, just the clothes on my back and a head full of restless thoughts. Maya and her friends had left me stranded, and for a moment, the old instinct crept in, the urge to find a phone, hear her voice, demand she turn the car around. But then I remembered. The way she laughed when Renee accidentally knocked my beer over at the lake house. The way she shrugged when I asked her to stand up for me. 5 years of that. 5 years of feeling like a guest in my own marriage. No, I wasn't calling her. Not this time. I started walking toward town, my sneakers crunching against gravel. The sun still beat down hard, sweat soaking through my shirt. I didn't know how far Grand Junction was, miles probably, but I didn't care. Every step felt like a decision. Like I was leaving her behind, one footprint at a time. My mind drifted back to the gas station. The moment I walked out of that grimy bathroom and saw nothing but empty pavement. They planned it. Maya, Renee, Tasha, Brooke, all of them laughing as they sped away, thinking it was hilarious to ditch me. I could almost hear Maya's voice. He'll figure it out. He always does. Well, I was figuring it out now, just not the way she expected. A pickup truck rumbled past, and without thinking, I stuck out my thumb. The driver, a guy with a scruffy beard and a faded flannel, slowed down and leaned out the window. "Need a ride?" he asked, eyeing me like he was still deciding. "Yeah," I said. "Heading to Grand Junction?" He nodded. "Hop in. I'm going that way." I climbed into the passenger seat, grateful for the break. The cab smelled like oil and cigarettes, but it beat walking. "What's your story?" he asked as we rolled down the highway. I hesitated, then shrugged. Got left behind by some people I thought I could trust. He grunted. "Happens more than you'd think out here." He dropped me off on the edge of Grand Junction, near a blinking traffic light and a cluster of low buildings. "Take care, man," he said before driving off. I stood there taking it all in. Old brick storefronts, new chain stores, people going about their day like everything was normal. For them, it was. For me, nothing was. No wallet, no ID, no proof of who I even was. I needed help, and fast. That's when I saw it. A sign for a homeless shelter a few blocks down. Plain building. A white cross painted on the side. My stomach twisted at the thought. Me, a shelter? But what choice did I have? Inside, the air smelled like bleach and stale coffee. A man behind the counter looked up. His name tag read, Roy. He was older, maybe 50, with a shaved head and a no-nonsense stare. "You lost?" he asked, "or just broke?" "Both," I admitted. "Got ditched on the highway. No money, no phone, nothing." Roy didn't even blink. "Happens. You got a name?" "Mike," I said. The truth felt easier than lying. He handed me a clipboard. "Fill this out. We'll get you a bed for the night. Tomorrow we figure out the rest." That night I lay on a cot in a room full of snoring strangers, staring up at the ceiling. My mind wouldn't shut off. Maya's face kept flashing behind my eyes. Her voice. Her laugh. I wanted to hate her, but a part of me still ached for her to show up, to say it was all a mistake. Roy's words echoed in my head. "Tomorrow we figure out the rest," and for the first time in years, someone meant it. The next morning, Roy sat me down with a cup of weak coffee and a plan. "You need ID to do anything, job, bank, housing. Takes time. We'll start the process. In the meantime, you need cash." I nodded, feeling useless. "Anywhere hiring?" Roy smirked. "There's a diner down the street. Owner's a tough old broad named Jackie. Tell her I sent you." I finished the coffee, stood up, and headed for the door. I didn't know it yet, but that diner was the first real step toward a life that finally belonged to me. The diner had vinyl booths cracked with age, and a dusty jukebox humming in the corner. Jackie stood behind the counter, a wiry woman in her 60s, tattoos crawling up both arms, cigarette-rough voice cutting through the clatter of plates. "Roy says you need work," she said, not even looking up as she wiped the counter. "Yeah," I replied, shifting on my feet. "I do, anything you've got." She finally looked at me, squinting like she was trying to see straight through my skin. "Dishwasher quit yesterday. Pays crap. Hours are long. You steal from me, you're dead. Start now." I blinked, caught off guard, but nodded. "Okay, I'm in." She tossed me an apron, and just like that I was in the back. scrubbing plates while hot water scalded my hands. It wasn't much, but it was something. Something mine. No Maya, no friends laughing at me, just me, steam in the air, and stacks of greasy dishes. Later that week, Roy checked in, helping me file paperwork for a replacement ID. "You're doing all right, Mike," he said, clapping a heavy hand on my shoulder. I wasn't so sure, but I kept going. The shelter became my home. Jackie's diner became my lifeline. I didn't call Maya, didn't even try. Every night I collapsed onto my cot exhausted, but it was a good kind of tired. The kind that meant I'd earned the sleep. I was starting over from nothing. And for the first time, it felt possible. Every morning I woke up on that cot with the same ache in my back, the same chorus of snores and coughs filling the room. It had been a couple of weeks since Maya and her friends ditched me at that gas station, and I was still getting used to this new life, washing dishes, sleeping on borrowed bedding, wearing clothes from the donation bin. My hands stayed raw from soap and hot water, but I didn't mind. The work kept my mind busy, kept it off her. Roy stayed steady, guiding me through the mess of paperwork. "Takes time," he'd say, handing me another form. "But you'll get there." And I believed him. The diner was my whole world now. Jackie ran it like a drill sergeant, barking orders from behind the counter. "Move faster, Mike. We ain't got all day." But there was no real bite in it. I worked doubles whenever I could, stuffing my cash into a plain envelope hidden under my cot. My first paycheck wasn't much, but it was enough. I bought a cheap prepaid phone from the gas station down the street. I stood there holding it, the plastic still shiny, and felt something unfamiliar bloom in my chest. Pride. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine. Bought with my own money. Not Maya's, not anyone else's. I didn't need her anymore. Then the phone buzzed. I'd only had it one day. I was elbow deep in suds when I felt it vibrate in my pocket. I wiped my hands on my apron and pulled it out. Maya. My stomach dropped. I let it ring. Just stared at the screen like it might bite me. It finally went to voicemail. A minute later, a notification popped up. I shouldn't have listened. But I did. Her voice came through soft, shaky, rehearsed. "Mike, where are you? We waited for you." It was just a joke. "We're so worried. Please call me back." Worried. They'd left me in the middle of nowhere with nothing. If they'd waited, they would have come back. The phone buzzed again. Renee this time. I played her message. Totally different tone, casual, smug. "Come on, dude. You gotta admit it was hilarious. Call us back, all right?" Hilarious. My fingers tightened around the phone until my knuckles went white. That's what I was to them, a punchline. A story to laugh about over drinks back at the lake house. More calls followed. Maya again. Then Brooke. Then Tasha. Voicemails stacked up. Texts poured in. "Where did you go? This isn't funny anymore. We miss you." I scrolled through them all, chest tight, head spinning. Maya's words echoed loudest. Fake concern, fake tears. She didn't care. None of them did. That night I sat on my cot. The shelter quiet except for the creak of springs and the low hum of the heater. The phone glowed in my hand, lighting up the dark with their messages. I listened to the last voicemail once more. Then I turned the phone off. Not out of anger. Out of clarity. For the first time, I wasn't disappearing. I was choosing myself. I shouldn't have listened. But I did. Her voice came through soft, shaky, rehearsed. "Mike, where are you? We waited for you." It was just a joke. "We're so worried. Please call me back." Worried. They'd left me in the middle of nowhere with nothing. If they'd waited, they would have come back. The phone buzzed again. Renee this time. I played her message. Totally different tone, casual, smug. "Come on, dude. You gotta admit it was hilarious. Call us back, all right?" Hilarious. My fingers tightened around the phone until my knuckles went white. That's what I was to them, a punchline. A story to laugh about over drinks back at the lake house. More calls followed. Maya again. Then Brooke. Then Tasha. Voicemails stacked up. Texts poured in. "Where did you go? This isn't funny anymore. We miss you." I scrolled through them all, chest tight, head spinning. Maya's words echoed loudest. Fake concern, fake tears. She didn't care. None of them did. That night I sat on my cot. The shelter quiet except for the creak of springs and the low hum of the heater. The phone glowed in my hand, lighting up the dark with their messages. I listened to the last voicemail once more. Then I turned the phone off. Not out of anger, out of clarity. For the first time, I wasn't disappearing. I was choosing myself. Maya's voicemail played first. Then Renee's. Then one from Brooke, nothing but giggling before it cut off. My thumb hovered over the call button. Part of me wanted to dial Maya, to scream, to ask why, to demand she explain how she could leave me like that. But I already knew how it would go. She'd laugh it off or cry just enough to make me feel guilty. She always did. I'd spent years swallowing their crap, smiling through it, telling myself that's what a good husband did. Not anymore. I opened my contacts. Maya, Renee, Tasha, Brooke. I blocked them one by one. My finger shook a little as I did it. But once it was done, the phone went silent. No buzzing. No excuses, no lies. I leaned back against the wall and let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. It felt like cutting a rope I'd been tangled in for years. They couldn't reach me now. They didn't get to decide how this ended. I did. The next day, I went back to the diner like nothing had happened. I plunged my hands into the dishwater, letting the heat burn away the last of their voices in my head. Jackie noticed, of course. "You're quiet today," she said, tossing me a rag. "Trouble?" I shrugged. "Just sorting some stuff out." She snorted. "Long as it don't mess with my kitchen sort of way." I smirked at that. She didn't care about my drama, just the job. It was refreshing. Later, Roy stopped by with a folded paper. "Case number for your ID," he said. "It's coming along." "You holding up?" I nodded. "Yeah, better than I thought." He clapped me on the shoulder and moved on. By the end of the week, I'd saved enough to grab a second-hand jacket from the shelter's donation pile. Nothing fancy, but it kept the cold out. I walked back to my cot that night, the prepaid phone silent in my pocket, and felt lighter. Maya and her friends were gone. Cut out like a bad habit. I didn't need their apologies, or their excuses. I had work, a bed, a plan, small things, but they were mine. The ache was still there. The sting of betrayal didn't vanish overnight, but it faded slowly. With every dish I scrubbed, every dollar I tucked away, I was building something new, something they couldn't touch. For the first time in a long time, I fell asleep without dreaming of her. Months passed. Life wasn't perfect, but it was steady. I'd saved enough to move out of the shelter and into a tiny studio above a laundromat in Grand Junction. One room, a lumpy mattress, a hot plate, a bathroom so small I could barely turn around in it. But it was mine. No cuts, no snores, just a key in my pocket and a door I could lock. Jackie noticed the work I was putting in and bumped me up to prep cook. More hours, a little more money. I spent my shifts chopping onions and peeling potatoes, the steady rhythm of the knife keeping my mind quiet. It was hard work, but it was honest. The nights were still the hardest. I'd lie on that creaky mattress, staring at the water stains on the ceiling, and Maya would slip into my thoughts. Not the cruel version, the one who laughed with her friends, but the old one. The soft smile, the way things used to be. I wondered what she was doing, if she missed me, if she even cared. Loneliness hit like a cold weight in my chest some nights, but morning always came, and I'd pull on my jacket, head to the diner, and breathe easier. No fear of her judgment, no cruel jabs from her friends, just me, free. One night after a long shift, bored and restless, I scrolled through my prepaid phone. I'd kept it clean, no contacts, no ties to the past, but curiosity won. I made a fake social media account, no picture, random name, and looked her up. Maya's profile popped up instantly. Still public, still perfect. Photos from the lake house trip. Maya and Renee smiling by the water. Tasha holding a drink. Brooke laughing like nothing in the world was wrong. Then I saw it. A post about me. An old photo of us at a picnic years ago, smiling like life was simple. Her caption hit me like a slap. "Missing my love. I pray he finds his way back to me." I stared at the screen. Missing me. She hadn't even come back for me. She'd driven off and left me with nothing. I almost laughed right there in that dingy apartment, the sound bouncing off bare walls. It was so fake, so perfectly her, turning herself into the victim, acting like I'd wandered off instead of being abandoned. I closed the app, and for the first time I didn't feel anger, just clarity. She hadn't lost me. She'd given me back to myself. I scrolled through the comments. Renee, he'll turn up. Don't worry. Brooke, sending you hugs. My stomach twisted. They were all in on it, still playing their little game, still rewriting the story until I was the bad guy. I locked the phone and tossed it onto the mattress, running my hands through my hair. None of them had. But I had. I wasn't the guy in that picnic photo anymore, the one who smiled and took it while they tore him down. I was someone else now, someone they didn't know. The next day at the diner, I was quieter than usual, still chewing on what I'd seen. Jackie noticed immediately, she always did. You look like someone kicked your dog, she said, sliding a plate of fries my way during a slow moment. I shrugged, picking at the food. Just thinking too much. She raised an eyebrow, tattooed arms crossing. About what, your ex? I froze. I'd never told her the full story. Just fragments. Yeah, I admitted. Saw something online. She's acting like she's the one who got hurt. Jackie snorted sharp and loud. Sounds like a real piece of work. Good riddance, kid. I nodded, managing a small smile. She was right. Work grounded me. I diced vegetables, flipped burgers when the cook needed help, wiped down counters, anything to keep moving. The diner had its regulars now. Folks who nodded at me, left a couple extra bucks on the table. It felt good. Like I belonged somewhere. My hands were calloused. My arms stronger from hauling crates and scrubbing pans. Sometimes I'd catch my reflection in the diner's glass door. Tired eyes. Messy hair, but a guy who was making it. One day at a time. Maya's post faded from my mind, replaced by the clatter of plates and Jackie's gravelly voice barking orders. I stopped checking her social media after that. Didn't need to. Whatever story she was telling, whatever lie she was living, it didn't matter. I had my studio, my job, my life. Small, sure, but growing. Loneliness still showed up, especially on quiet nights, when the laundromat downstairs hummed and rattled through the floor. But it wasn't sharp anymore. It didn't cut as deep. Morning smelled like detergent and cold air. I'd pull on my boots, step outside, and breathe. No one waiting to mock me, no one rolling their eyes at my every word. I could just be Mike. And that was enough. For the first time in years, I felt like I was standing on solid ground, not sinking in quicksand. Freedom wasn't loud or flashy. It was this. My key. My paycheck. My choice. And I wasn't giving it back. I'd been living above the laundromat long enough to settle into a rhythm. Work at the diner. Save my cash. Sleep in my own space. The days blended together, but they were good days. Steady ones. Then she walked in. Sienna. She started coming to Jackie's diner twice a week. Always the same booth by the window. Always with a stack of textbooks and a pen in her hand. Med student, I figured, from the way she muttered medical terms under her breath while scribbling notes. Her order never changed. Denver omelet. No tomatoes. Extra coffee. She barely looked up when I brought it over. I'd watch her sometimes, amused. She'd get so lost in her studying that her fork would hover halfway to her mouth for a full minute before she noticed. I don't know why I started messing with her. Maybe I was bored. Maybe I just wanted to see if she'd smile. I started swapping out my name tag, random names. Bob, Steve, Carl. Just to see if she'd catch it. She didn't at first. Too buried in her books. But one morning I walked over with Rusty pinned to my shirt, and she finally looked up. Her eyes flicked to the tag, then back to my face. Your name tag is wrong, she said, quiet, firm, like she was diagnosing me. I grinned, caught off guard. Is it? She smirked just a little and went back to her notes. That was it, our first real moment, and it stuck with me. Work kept me busy, but Sienna became the highlight of my week. She'd show up, order her usual, and I'd find excuses to swing by, refill her coffee, clear her plate, ask if she needed anything. She'd nod, mumbling a thanks. But that smirk stayed in my head like a challenge. One day she came in looking wrecked, hair messy, books heavier than usual. Rough night? I asked, setting her coffee down. She sighed, rubbing her eyes. Exams, haven't slept in 2 days. I nodded, didn't push it. But I slipped an extra hash brown onto her plate when she wasn't looking. She noticed, looked up at me. You're sneaky. I shrugged. Gotta keep you awake somehow. Our first date wasn't even planned. She came in one evening dressed differently. Jeans, a nice top, not her usual hoodie, and told me her friends had bailed on her. And just like that, something new began. Her friends had bailed on a reservation at some fancy pizza place across town. "I'm not wasting it," she said, half to herself. Then she looked up at me. "You free?" I was wiping down the counter, my shift almost over. Jackie was close enough to hear. "Go on, kid," she barked, waving me off. "You're no use to me moping around anyway." So I went. We split a pepperoni pizza and a pitcher of soda. She really laughed when I told her about the name tag thing. Head tipped back, eyes bright. "I knew it wasn't Rusty," she said. "You're not that old." We talked all night. My school stress, my diner gig, dumb stuff like favorite movies and worst habits. It was easy, natural, like we'd known each other longer than a few hours. 6 months later, she moved into my tiny studio. It was cramped. Her textbooks took up half the space. We bumped into each other trying to cook on that little hot plate. But I didn't care. She'd study late into the night, lamp glowing while I slept. Sometimes I'd wake up to her muttering anatomy terms in her sleep. It was weirdly comforting. A year after that, we upgraded to a real apartment. A kitchen, a couch that didn't smell like bleach, windows that let in actual sunlight. Sienna was nothing like Maya. She didn't mock me, didn't make me feel small when I doubted myself. She'd just say, "You've got this," and somehow I believed her. We cooked together, watched old TV shows, argued about who left dishes in the sink. It was simple, but it was ours. Maya, meanwhile, wouldn't let go. She started emailing me, found my address somehow, probably from an old bill. The first one popped up while I was chopping peppers at the diner. "Mike, I just want to know you're okay. I miss you, we all do." Miss me? She'd left me at a gas station with nothing. Laughed about it with her friends. And now she missed me. I deleted it. More followed. Some short, some long, all dripping with that fake sweetness she'd perfected. I messed up. "Please talk to me. I saw your grandma, she's worried." I'd feel that old ache in my chest for a moment. Then I'd hit delete. Sienna caught me once, frowning at my phone. "Who's that?" she asked. "Nobody," I said. She didn't push. She didn't need to. I wasn't going back. Life with Sienna was good, better than I ever thought I deserved. The diner was humming. My hands were steady. Maya's emails were just background noise I'd learned to tune out. I'd built something new, something solid. And every day with Sienna proved it. She teased me about my cooking. I laughed at her terrible singing. We fell asleep tangled up on that second-hand couch. Maya could write all she wanted. I didn't owe her a damn thing. My world was here now. I was standing in Jackie's diner one afternoon, flipping burgers on the grill, grease popping against my apron. Things were good, really good. Sienna and I were settled into our new place. Work was steady. Loud, my jinx. She wanted me to run her new diner. Me in charge. Sienna plopped down next to me, her knee brushing mine. "And you're thinking about turning it down?" she said, reading me like always. I shrugged, rubbing the back of my neck. "I don't know. What if I screw it up?" She grabbed my hand, her grip firm. "You're already running that place half the time, helping with orders, fixing stuff when she's yelling at someone else. Just make it official. You've got this." Her words hit me hard, like a shove. I didn't know I needed it. She didn't doubt me. Not for a second. And that felt new, strange, good. Chloe would have laughed. Said something like, "You, a boss?" Her friends would have piled on. Sienna just looked at me. "Steady, sure." I nodded. "Okay, I'll do it." She smiled, that small one I loved, and leaned her head on my shoulder. "Good, now stop moping. We've got dishes to do." I laughed, the weight lifting a little, and we washed plates together. She hummed some off-key song while I splashed water at her. The next day I told Jackie. "Yes," I said. She grunted like she'd expected it and handed me a set of keys. "Don't burn it down," she said, then went back to counting cash. The new diner was a hole-in-the-wall spot. 10 tables, a counter, a kitchen barely big enough for 2, but it was mine to run. I started the next week, setting schedules, ordering supplies, cooking. When the lunch rush hit, it was chaos at first, waitresses forgetting orders, me burning a batch of fries. But I figured it out. Sienna was right. I'd been doing all this already, just without the title. The place started humming. Regulars trickled in. Jackie stopped by once, nodded at me like she approved. Not bad, kid, she said. I felt taller than I had in years. Then Chloe's email came. I was at the new diner, checking inventory on my phone when it popped up. Mike, your grandmother's been asking about you. Please let us know you're alive. My thumb slammed the screen, hard. Grandma had always been sweet, sending cards even after I married Chloe. But Chloe bringing her up now. Cheap shot. A hook to reel me back in. I pictured her typing it. Fake tears in her eyes, trying to guilt me like always. I deleted it. She didn't get to use Grandma against me, not after what she'd done. I hadn't called home in a while, sure, but I'd fix that myself. Not through her. I threw myself into the diner after that. Kept my hands busy so my mind wouldn't wander. The place was picking up. Truckers stopping by. Locals chatting me up. I was one of them now. I came home to Sienna studying at our table. Books spread out. She asked how it went. Good, I said. And I meant it. We cooked dinner. Nothing fancy, just pasta or burgers. Talked about her classes. My day, the future. Chloe's emails kept coming, piling up in my trash folder. I didn't open them. She was a ghost, a shadow. I could ignore her. My life was here. The diner, Sienna, the keys in my pocket. I'd been abandoned once. Left to figure it out. And I had. I was building something better. Something they couldn't touch. Every night I locked up the diner, drove home to Sienna, and felt like a man who'd finally found his footing. I was flipping eggs in the kitchen of my third diner, the one on the edge of town, when my phone buzzed. Morning rush in full swing, truckers hollering for coffee, waitresses darting between tables. I almost ignored it. 15 years had turned me into a different man. Sienna and I were married. 2 kids tearing up our house. 3 diner locations keeping me busy. Life was loud, full, good. Nothing like the empty shell I'd been when Chloe left me at that gas station. I wiped my hands on my apron, pulled out my phone, and saw a LinkedIn notification. Someone viewed your profile 27 times today. My stomach did a little flip. I didn't use LinkedIn much, just a basic page with my name. The diners. A blurry photo Sienna had made me take. But 27 times? That wasn't normal. I tapped it open. Grill hissing behind me, and there she was. Chloe. Her name hit me like a cold splash of water, right there on the screen, tied to some company I didn't care about. 27 views in one day. She'd been digging through my life over and over. I set the phone down, hands gripping the counter, trying to steady myself. 15 years. She was back, creeping in like a shadow I thought I'd shaken off. I flipped the eggs, barely watching, my mind racing. What did she want? Why now? I'd blocked her emails years ago, ignored her guilt trips, built a whole world without her. And here she was, silent but loud in my head. The diner smelled like bacon and syrup. The clatter of plates grounded me. I plated the eggs, handed them off to a waitress, and focused. Because this was my life. Coffee needed refilling. Hash browns were burning, but Chloe's name stuck with me. I pictured her somewhere, clicking through my profile, seeing the diners. Maybe even my old job at Jackie's. Did she know about Sienna, the kids? I hadn't posted much, just enough to look legit, but 27 views meant she was looking hard. I wiped my forehead, sweat mixing with the heat, and grabbed my phone again. Her profile stared back. Older, short hair, tight smile. Consultant, it said. I didn't read more. Didn't want to. I stepped into the back, a tiny storeroom with shelves of flour and canned goods, and leaned against the wall. My heart thumped too fast, like I'd run a mile. 15 years. 2 kids, a wife, a business. And she could still rattle me. I hated it. I'd worked so hard to bury her, to forget the gas station, the laughter, the way she'd made me feel like nothing. And now she was back. Not even saying anything. Just watching. Jealous, mad, desperate. I ran my hands through my hair, pacing the cramped space. Part of me wanted to message her. What's your deal? But I stopped. That's what she wanted. A crack to slip through. I went back to the grill. Threw myself into the rush. Cooking, pouring, wiping down tables. When the waitresses got swamped, I kept moving. The regulars nodded. Some guy asked for extra ketchup. I kept my hands busy. But she was there. In the back of my mind, those 27 views like an itch I couldn't scratch. I didn't tell Sienna when I got home. She was on the couch folding laundry. The kids upstairs yelling about some game, busy day. Yeah, I said, forcing a smile. Kissing her forehead. Same old. She didn't push, just handed me a pile of socks. I sat there folding, pretending everything was fine. The house smelled like dinner, chicken and rice, Sienna's go-to. The kids tumbled down begging for dessert. I laughed, said no. Felt normal for a minute. But Chloe lingered. A ghost I couldn't shake. I didn't check LinkedIn again. Didn't need to. 27 was enough. I helped Sienna with the dishes, our hips bumping. I tried to let it go. My life was here, 2 kids fighting over the last cookie. A wife who didn't laugh at me. Diners I'd built from nothing. Chloe couldn't touch that. Still, I went to bed with her name in my head, staring at the ceiling while Sienna slept beside me. Next morning, first diner, pouring coffee. Grill hot. Phone buzzed again. I didn't look, just shoved it deeper in my pocket. If it was her, I didn't want to know. 15 years of locking her out, and now she was knocking. Quiet, steady. I focused, grill, counter, cash register, hands moving, voice steady. She was out there, somewhere. But I was here, standing tall, whatever she wanted, whatever game she was playing. I wasn't biting, not yet. Not ever, if I could help it. A few days later at the original diner, Jackie's first spot, door jingled. They walked in. Chloe, Stephanie, and Issa. 3 days after those LinkedIn alerts, I'd been on edge, half expecting this. Breakfast rush had died down, leaving a handful of regulars sipping coffee. Air thick with grease and burnt toast. I saw them before they saw me. Chloe's short hair catching the light. Stephanie swaggering, Issa hunched like she wanted to disappear. Gut twisted, hands freezing on the rag. 15 years since they ditched me at that gas station. And now they were here, in my diner, my turf. I didn't move. Just watched. They picked a booth by the window, voices low but familiar. I could have stayed back. Let the waitress handle it. But something pulled me out there. Anger? Maybe. Needing to see it through? Definitely. I grabbed a pot of coffee. More for something to hold than anything else. Chloe spotted me first. Eyes wide, mouth dropping open. "Oh my God, it's you," she said, voice shaky, unpracticed. Stephanie leaned back, smirking. "Hey, look at you." Big shot. Issa glanced up, then down fast, fidgeting with the menu. I stood there, coffee pot in hand. Older, worn, desperate in a way I didn't expect. "What do you want?" I asked, short, harder than I felt. Chloe shifted, leaning forward, fingers twisting together. "Mike, can we talk, please?" I didn't sit, didn't soften. "I'm working." "Talk later," I said. She swallowed, glancing at Stephanie for backup. Then started. We need your help." Her story spilled out. Life crashed. Tiny business gone. Marriage failed, broke, begging. Stephanie jumped in, casual, like it was no big deal. "You're doing all right? 3 diners? We just need a hand, for old times' sake." Issa nodded, barely audible. "Just a little help." I listened. Let it sink in. Chloe's sob story. Stephanie's charm. Issa's guilt. They'd planned this. Track me down. Thought I'd roll over. I stood there, coffee pot still hot, watching them squirm. Chloe's eyes welled. Stephanie's grin faltered. And I realized 15 years had made me untouchable. I wasn't the guy at that gas station anymore. Not theirs to manipulate. Not theirs to hurt. Issa's smirk twitched. She shredded the edge of her menu. I remembered the LinkedIn stalking. 27 views. Then showing up here thinking I'd cave. Because I used to wait for them. I said, I muttered to myself, turning away. I walked to the office, a cramped box with a desk and a stack of receipts. My boots felt heavy on the floor. They wanted money. After leaving me with nothing. Laughing about it. Thinking I'd just hand it over. I sat down in the chair, creaking beneath me, and stared at the wall. My hands shook, not from fear, from anger. I could have yelled, thrown them out. But I didn't. I grabbed an envelope, wrote a check, headed back. They were still there, whispering. Head snapping up when I walked over. I dropped the envelope in front of Chloe. Her fingers snatched it up. Her face lit for a second. She opened it. $73.50. The exact cost of a Greyhound ticket from Grand Junction back home. 15 years ago. Her smile crashed. Breath-catching. Stephanie grabbed it, glaring. What the hell is this? She snapped. I leaned in, voice low, steady. That's what it would have cost me to get back to you that day. I didn't. You don't get more than that. Chloe's mouth opened. No sound came out. Stephanie shoved the check at me. You're a jerk, Mike, after everything. After everything you left me, I cut her off. You laughed. This is me being generous. Her hands balled up, but she didn't speak. I straightened, looking at all three of them. Chloe pale. Stephanie fuming, Issa shrinking. It's time to leave, I said, loud enough for the diner to hear. Don't come back. I turned, walking to the counter. Heart pounding. Steps sure. The waitress hovered, unsure. They're done, I said, grabbing a rag to wipe my hands. They sat there a minute, stunned, then scrambled up. Chloe shoved the envelope in her purse. Stephanie muttered something, trailing behind. Issa followed. Door jingled shut. And just like that, the diner went back to normal. Coffee poured. Forks clinked. Like they'd never been there. I stood behind the counter, pouring myself a cup. Hand steady. They'd come begging, thinking I'd bend. I didn't. It wasn't loud. It wasn't messy. Just cold, final. I sipped the coffee, bitter on my tongue, and watched the regulars chat, oblivious. Chloe's tears. Stephanie's anger. Issa's hesitation. None of it mattered. I'd given them what they'd given me. Just enough to walk away. The diner hummed around me, my diner. My life, and they were gone. Outside, I leaned against the front window. The glass cold against my arm, watching Chloe, Stephanie, and Issa in the parking lot. They were arguing like kids caught stealing. Stephanie's hands slashing the air, face twisted like she wanted to hit something. Chloe stood with the envelope crumpled in her fist, shoulders hunched. Issa hung back, arms crossed, looking like she might bolt or cry. I couldn't hear them through the window. Didn't need to. They'd come begging, thinking I'd cave. I'd sent them packing. Now they were unraveling. And I just watched, feeling nothing. The sun was low, painting the lot orange. Their shadows stretched long across the gravel. Stephanie jabbed a finger at Chloe, mouth moving fast, probably blaming her for dragging them here. Chloe shook her head slowly, tired. Then shoved the check into her purse like it was trash. Issa glanced at the diner, her eyes catching mine for a second before darting away. I didn't move. Didn't blink. They could fight all day. It wouldn't touch me. I'd given them what they deserved. Closed the book on 15 years of their garbage. That was that. I turned away, grabbing my coffee. Bitter now, cooling, but I didn't care. The diner was quiet. Just a couple of regulars lingering over pie. The jukebox hummed some old tune. I sipped, hands steady, and finally felt it. Freedom. I wiped down the counter, slow and steady, letting the rag soak up the day. The waitresses buzzed around, clearing tables, shooting me quick looks but keeping quiet. They knew something had happened. Those three walking in, me walking out with that envelope, but I didn't explain. You good, Mike? One asked, stacking plates. Yeah, I said, short and sharp, and went back to wiping. I didn't want their questions. Didn't want to drag it out. Chloe and her crew were gone and I was done. Driving home, the truck's engine growled beneath me. The road was dark, headlights cutting through the black. My hands gripped the wheel. Mind stuck on that scene. Chloe's face when she saw the check. Stephanie's snarl, Issa's silence. It should have felt good shutting them down, and it did. Mostly, but there was a faint itch I couldn't shake. They looked desperate, broken. Chloe especially, with her sob story about her life falling apart. 15 years ago, I'd have cared. Run after them. Tried to fix it. Now I just watched them leave. The house came into view, lights on. Sienna's car in the driveway. I let out a breath. This was real. My family, my life, not them. I kicked my boots off by the door. The smell of leftover lasagna hit me. Sienna was at the kitchen table, papers spread out, pen in hand, grading again. Probably the kids were upstairs, voices muffled but not asleep. Hey, she said softly, tilting her head. You okay? I nodded, pulling out a chair and sitting across from her. Hands flat on the table. They came by, I said, keeping it simple. Her eyebrows lifted, but she waited. Chloe, Stephanie, Issa. They asked for money. I gave them bus fare and told them to go. She set her pen down, leaning back, eyes steady on mine. Bus fare? She asked, a small smile tugging her lips. $73.50, I said. Exact cost to get back from Grand Junction all those years ago. How Chloe's face fell. How Stephanie snapped. How I walked away. Sienna listened, hand resting on the table, calm like always. When I finished, she reached over, fingers brushing mine. They can't take anything from you that you don't give them, she said, firm, quiet. I looked at her, those words sinking in. Yeah, I said, throat tight. She squeezed my hand, then went back to her papers, leaving me sitting there, the weight lifting a little. She didn't need to say more. She got it, got me. That was enough. Later we ate leftovers, just the two of us. The kids finally quiet upstairs. I poked at the lasagna, mind half in the parking lot. Stephanie yelling. Chloe staring, Issa shrinking. Didn't matter. Out there, they'd come for a handout. I'd given them a mirror instead. Sienna didn't ask more. Just talked about the kids, our son's math test, our daughter's new obsession with drawing cats. I smiled, nodded, let her pull me back to now. After we cleaned up, her hip bumped mine at the sink and I felt steady again. That night, lying in bed, Sienna's breathing slow beside me, I stared at the ceiling. The house creaked, the kids shifting in their rooms. I replayed it, those three in my diner, then out in the lot, falling apart. They couldn't touch this, my family, my diners, me. I'd shut the door, locked it tight, and they were on the other side where they belonged. The itch was still there, faint but fading. Sienna was right. They got nothing I didn't give. And that was the end. Weeks passed. Chloe, Stephanie, and Issa didn't come back. No call, no email. Not even a whisper on LinkedIn. They were really gone this time. And I felt it. A quiet that settled deep. Like a storm finally passing. Life rolled on. Sienna grading papers at the table. The kids chasing each other around the backyard. The diners humming with regulars. It was mine, all of it. And they couldn't touch it. I stopped looking over my shoulder. Stopped waiting for the next knock. The chili bubbled on the stove, steam rising. I tasted it, needed more salt, maybe a kick of pepper. Smells good, she said, glancing up from her stack of tests. Glasses slipping down her nose. That small smile I loved. Better be, I shot back, grinning. She laughed, soft, easy. The kids burst in from outside. Our son waving a muddy stick, our daughter yelling about a bug she'd found. Out, both of you. Wash up, I barked, pointing to the sink. They groaned but obeyed, splashing water everywhere. Chaos, loud and messy, but ours. Chloe's tears. The sob story she tried to sell me. They faded a little more every day, replaced by this. Work was good too. I bounced between the three diners, flipping burgers, checking stock, joking with the waitresses. The regulars knew me now. Old Tom with his coffee. The trucker who tipped big. The lady who always asked for extra napkins. They nodded, said, "Hey, Mike." I nodded back, feeling like I belonged. Jacqueline stopped by the first diner one morning. Tattoos faded, but her glare still sharp. "You didn't screw it up," she said, looking around. Then clapped me on the shoulder and left. High praise from her, I laughed to myself, pouring coffee for a table, thinking about how far I'd come. From a gas station nobody to this. I didn't check on Chloe anymore. No fake social media accounts. No late-night scrolls. I'd done that once, years back, seen her play the grieving widow. But now I didn't need to know. She was out there somewhere, living whatever life she'd made after her business tanked. Her marriage crumbled. Stephanie and Issa too. Maybe still mad, maybe still blaming her. It didn't matter. They'd come begging. I'd shut the door. And now mine, all mine. The $73.50 check had been the last thing I'd ever give them, just enough to walk away, like they'd left me to do all those years ago. I didn't feel bad. I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. That weekend, Sienna and I took the kids to the park. It was a crisp fall day, leaves crunching under our boots. Our son ran ahead kicking a ball, while our daughter clung to my hand, pointing at every squirrel. Sienna walked beside me, her arm brushing mine. We didn't say much, just watched, just breathed, just lived. I thought about Chloe for a second, her showing up, her voice cracking, and let it go. She couldn't take this from me. Couldn't even come close. I had built it all without her, despite her, and it was better than anything she'd ever offered. "You're quiet," Sienna said, nudging me. "Just happy," I replied. She squeezed my hand, knowing I meant it. Back home, we ate the chili. Too spicy, the kids complained, but they shoveled it down anyway. I sat at the table, watching them bicker over the last roll. Sienna rolling her eyes at their noise. This was it. The best revenge, if you could call it that. Not some big fight. Not rubbing it in their faces. Just living well. Living real. Chloe wanted me to break. To crawl back. I'd walked away from that gas station all those years ago and kept going. Roy at the shelter. Jacqueline's diner. Sienna's laugh. These kids. Every step was mine. Every piece earned. They'd lost not because I'd beaten them, but because I'd stopped playing their game. The days rolled on. School runs, diner shifts, quiet nights with Sienna on the couch. I didn't look back. Didn't need to. Chloe was a memory, a shadow that couldn't reach me anymore. I'd see her sometimes in a flash, her smirk, her tears, but it didn't stick. I flipped a burger, turned up the radio, hugged my daughter, and she faded. The diners thrived. The kids grew. Sienna and I argued over dumb stuff, whose turn it was to mow the lawn, but it was simple, messy, perfect. I'd wake up early, make coffee, stand in our kitchen, look out at the yard and feel it, peace, deep and steady. One night after the kids were in bed, I sat on the porch with a beer in my hand. The air was cool against my skin. Sienna came out, wrapped in a blanket, and sat beside me. "What's on your mind?" she asked softly. I took a sip, staring at the stars. "Nothing," I said. Then I smiled. "Everything." She leaned her head on my shoulder and we sat there, quiet together. Chloe was gone. Really gone. And I was here, whole. The best revenge wasn't revenge at all. It was this. Right now. A life so good I didn't need to prove anything. I had made it. And that was enough.